Of a more mature age, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel today. I am the Eva Monroe, and today this is going to get a little bit painful. It's going to be slightly painful, but it's going to be all right because remember, I always say change is uncomfortable, right? Sometimes you got to get a little bit uncomfortable when you're trying to work some things out. So, at least 4, sometimes 100 times a week, I get the video request, do a video about how you stay in shape. Do a video about what you eat. Do a video about health and fitness and what I need to do to lose weight. So in one of my videos, I talked about the acronym SNATCHED, over 40, right? And the S was for staying healthy and fit. And so this week, actually, in my Patreon group on our live Zoom chat, this is what we will be addressing this week. But I wanted to do this video because I think that there is one question you got to ask yourself before you dive into your next little crash diet, or before you go keto, or before you do whatever it is you're getting ready to do, P90X, whatever it is. You need to ask yourself, why am I fat? Now, why didn't I say plus size? Why didn't I say thick? Why didn't I say big boned, heavy set, overweight? I didn't say any of those things because they sound entirely too nice. And I believe in sometimes we have to hold our own feet to the fire, right? So sometimes what sounds nice and plus size makes people feel like, okay, well, it's plus size. They actually have a section for it in the store. So if they have a section for it, then there's nothing wrong with it. Now, please understand, first and foremost, I'm not fat shaming, okay? We don't get down like that over here. But I'm also not condoning living an unhealthy lifestyle, okay? That's because that's what this is all about. So 3 things I'm not going to address in the comment section. I'm not going to address Lizzo, okay? Lizzo is doing her. If Lizzo is happy, I'm happy for Lizzo. If Lizzo is healthy, I'm even happier for Lizzo. But don't come talking about, well, Lizzo said. I don't care about that. Don't talk to me about fat shaming. And don't talk to me about thyroids, okay? Please don't talk to me about thyroids, because can it be an issue? Absolutely, it 100% can. Can it be a bad issue? It absolutely can. I'm not downplaying that. But don't let anyone tell you that you can't lose any weight because you have a thyroid issue. You just got to work harder than somebody who doesn't have a thyroid issue, okay? Don't come in my comment section with everybody in my family is overweight, so there ain't nothing I can do about it. It's a choice. I believe that, it's one of the few things in life that is definitely a choice, and you can change it, okay? So, why am I fat? Let me tell you how I figured out that this is the most important question that you have to ask yourself. What led up to me figuring this out? Because you go to the doctor's going to tell you, oh, you can get surgery. You can take these pills, but he's never going to address the real issue with you most of the time if he's not a head doctor. So I started working out like seriously in 2002, I would say. 2000, 2002-ish. And someone was throwing away a old, I think it was like Weeder, whatever that was, home gym. And they asked me if I wanted it. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to have it. So I took it, I put it in my spare bedroom. And we didn't have YouTube or anything like that back then. Well, I don't know. Was YouTube around back then? I didn't have access to it to find workouts and things. So I would go to the store and buy like Muscle Mag and Oxygen and magazines like that, and especially Oxygen. And I don't know if you guys remember Oxygen. I don't even know if it's still around. I wanted to look like those girls in that book. Every last one of them, glutes high and tight. So I started working out like religiously, and The one thing that I noticed, well, I noticed two things. One thing I noticed though was that I felt better. I was like, dang, I had a lot going on in my life, like a whole lot going on in my life. But I noticed that when I went into that room, shut that door, put the music on blast, everything just kind of like faded away, like nothing else mattered. I was just in the moment. And then I started to notice my body changing, and I was like, what is going on here? So I never told anybody what I was doing. Only people that were close to me knew that I was like killing it in my spare bedroom. But people started to ask me, they're like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, you look amazing. And I was like, yeah, I'm working out. So some few years down the line, I started working on the military base, and I was working in processing. And people would ask me all the time, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I would tell them, well, I do weight training, I do cardio, I eat this, I eat that. So people were like, help me, I need help. Can you help me? So y'all, don't tell nobody this. I started hopping around between the different gyms on post training people, right? Making like $20 a session. I would charge people like $20 a session, but I had to hop from gym to gym because of course you weren't supposed to be getting paid to train people in the free gym. So, and I wasn't certified at that point in time. So I started, sneaking around. I had the worker schedules down pat. Like I would train some people before I went to work in the daytime. Then I would train some people when I got off work. So I literally had like 10 people that I was training and getting paid for. And so I told my ex-husband, I said, I feel like I should have my own gym. So he said, well, get certified and we'll talk about it later. So I was like, okay. So I got certified to train people. And I found a little building, and my son and I, because my ex-husband was deployed at this time, went in there, tore the walls down, and started redoing this place. Someone told me about DRMO. They were like, you can go to DRMO and get some equipment. And what DRMO was it was when they took the old equipment out of the gyms on post, they would auction it off on DRMO. So I was buying like commercial gym equipment. I remember I got like a squat rack for like $50 and weights and I mean, the whole 9 yards. So I opened up my little center, I'm so proud. And I started working with people. I had a really nice clientele, but I started learning something because when you go to get certified, and you learn about, you learn about how the body works, and you learn about muscles, and you learn about how you actually burn fat, and you learn this and you learn that. They don't tell you about the emotional side of being overweight. They don't teach you this, right? So I start working with people. I wanted to have a training center that was like, that mostly catered to us, to Black women, where we felt comfortable, where there were pictures of us on the wall. I had like Serena and Flo Jo and everybody playing music that we could vibe to. And I wanted to be the person that they could connect with. And so I would start training people, and like 3 sessions in, it would turn into therapy. And it was always this, and I'm like, dang, everybody that comes in here like needs some type of therapy. It was strange to me, right? So people would start talking to me about what was going on in their lives. And I had one lady, I would never forget this lady. She was actually a sergeant major, and she was it, honey. She was fly. She was overweight, and I think that somebody that, one of her superiors told her, you need to lose some weight or whatever. But she was so well put together, hair always. I used to tell her all the time, like, why do you go get your hair done before you come in here? It makes no sense to me. But she didn't care about nothing, right? She would pay me a month in advance for her sessions, and she might show up for 2 of them. She might miss 2 weeks. And I would get so emotionally invested in people and what they had going on because I felt like it was my work. And if they weren't being successful in their program, then my work didn't look good. And I didn't feel good about the fact that they were paying me their money and they were not successful at their program. So she missed 2 weeks one time. She came in, I weighed her, and she had gained weight. And she was so nonchalant about it in her pink Nike jogging suit with the matching pink shoes with the pink headband, and she had pink workout gloves. I used to be like, girl, you do too much. And I looked at her and I was like, wow, you gained such and such a pound. She was like, yeah, I've been eating, but whatever, I'm here today. And I said, sit down. Sit down right there. She was much older than I was. I said, what's all this? What's going on with you? You fly, you real fly, you look real cool, you drive a Benz, you real fly, I see you. But what's going on in here? And I will never forget, the woman just broke down crying, right? And even despite all of the people that I had talked to that had poured their hearts out to me, this was the moment that I realized, I said, oh my God, overweight. There's some issues going on in here. There's something, these people are covering up something. We all have something, right? We all have something that makes us feel good, right? So for most of these people, it was food. It was soda, it was cakes, it was onion rings. It was, that was what made them feel good. And that was when I learned how important it is to figure out what you're feeding. Everybody's feeding something. It's not about hunger, unless you have like a serious tapeworm. It's not about hunger. It's about you're feeding something. Because let's be clear, when people come and ask me, what do I eat? What do I need to eat? Anybody over the age of 7 years old knows what they need to eat. You know what you need to eat. Well, how do you know what you need to eat? You know what you need to eat because in kindergarten, they gave you that pyramid 92 times over, and it broke down all the food groups for you, put them all in categories, and it said, eat this much of this, eat this much of this. Sugar was in there, but it was the smallest category, right? And you didn't see soda, you didn't see cakes, you didn't see any of that anywhere in that pyramid. So most people know what to eat. Most people know this, but why don't most people eat what they're supposed to eat? Well, convenience, laziness, comfort. You comfortable where you at. You like, I'm thick, he like me, it's good, he like all this. But you know what you're supposed to eat, right? You know the 4 food groups. You know if you don't never eat another cake for the next 3 weeks and you simply sit down and eat carrots and lettuce, most people are smart enough to know that they're going to lose weight, right? They're going to lose weight. Most people are smart enough to know that they're going to feel better because most people are smart enough to know that sugar make you feel bad, right? So it's not rocket science, but what makes it hard is people don't address what's going on inside. You don't address the actual issue. You don't address what you're feeding. What are you feeding? Are you feeding loneliness? Are you feeding boredom? Are you feeding pain, hurt, anger? If you're overweight, because you eat entirely too much food, because you eat the wrong types of food, you are feeding something. And you have to figure out, the first thing you have to do in order to be successful is you have to figure out what it is you're feeding, and you have to start dealing with that. And then you have to get up. You have to get up, because that's the biggest part of it. I could sell you a workout plan. Hell, I'd give you one for free, but it's not going to work for you. Keto's not going to work for you. Atkins is not going to work for you. Because if you don't have discipline and you're not healing, you're never going to be able to adhere to any of those plans, and you're going to fall off of them. And when you fall off of them, you're going to fall hard. You're going to fall super hard. And you're probably going to end up being bigger than you were before you started all of this foolishness. I don't do stuff like that. I never have. Like, back when I was in my, in tip-top shape, when I was at the top of my level and I was working on trying to compete at an amateur level and things like that, I would do things like the lemon and ginger and cayenne pepper and stuff like that. I would do stuff like that. I even went off of meat and everything for like 5 years, but I've never done Atkins, keto. I can't even tell you anything about any of these type of, and I'm not even, don't get mad at me about being uneducated about keto, because keto may be something totally different. It may have nothing to do with weight. It may have something to do with health. I don't know. But like I said, most people know what to eat and what not to eat and how much of it to eat. Most people know this, like, you know this, and you don't need anybody to tell you this. You know this. But you got to figure out the reason why you're fat. Age is not an excuse. The youngest person I ever trained was 10 years old. The oldest person I ever trained was 68. The 68-year-old woman that I trained was the biggest person, one of the biggest people I've ever trained, and she lost more weight than anyone I've ever trained. Age is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. If your knees are bad, it's not an excuse. You can sit in a chair and get your workout on. You can eat right. If you got a bad shoulder, it's not an excuse. You can work around it. There's a workaround for everything. So figure out, why am I fat? And then, if y'all would like me to share what I eat and what I do, then I absolutely will, if you still want to know, or if you still need to know. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself that question. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope I didn't hurt any feelings too bad, but I hope I did make some people extremely uncomfortable, because this is 55% of Black women in America are fat. Men, y'all ain't far behind. Y'all 36%. 55%. So it's not about being able to fit into a size 3 or being able to look good on Instagram. It's not about that. It is about your health. I think COVID woke up a lot of people about this. If you have extremely bad habits, those people are woke now. If you're overweight, those people are woke now. They're like, oh my God, this affects people with bad habits and people who are overweight. You can't do anything about being, in the age bracket, but you can do something about your habits, and you can do something about your excess weight that needs to come off. I have seen people walk off of blood pressure medication like they never touched it ever a day in their life, just from losing weight. I have seen people stop taking insulin just from losing weight. Is that going to be everybody's story? No, absolutely not. It's not going to be everybody's story. But you can get better, and you can 100%, you can absolutely do better. So thank you so much for listening to me today. Until I see you again, be blessed and